Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Police have now charged a third person with murder following the death of Launceston teenager Billy Ray Waters. And there could be more charges to come, with police refusing to rule out others being involved in the case. Our reporter Tom Johnson joins us with the details. Good evening, Tom. What do we know about this latest person to be charged?
Well, Joe, we know he's a 33-year-old man from Mowbray who's been in police custody for the past 2 days. He will appear in an after-hours court tonight after being formally charged this afternoon. He's the third person implicated in this case, along with 2 17-year-old boys who faced court last night. Because they're youths, it was a closed session. The trio is being charged in relation to the alleged murder of 19-year-old Billy Ray Waters on the 4th of August. A body found in bushland near Mayfield is strongly believed to be his, although it still hasn't been formally identified. Now, there could still be more suspects involved in this case. Police say this is an active investigation and they haven't ruled out charging even more people. And Joe, police say their thoughts are with Mr. Waters' loved ones and family at this most difficult time. Back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for that, Tom. Tom Johnson with that report. A coronial inquest into a deadly attack on North Hobart shopkeeper Viola Delios has begun 3 years after the shocking killing. The inquiry will focus on the circumstances leading up to her death, her killer's time in prison and the adequacy of his mental health treatment while incarcerated.
3 years after the shocking death of Viola Delios, her family leaves court, still looking for answers. The North Hobart shopkeeper was stabbed to death inside her grocery by Daryl Royston Wayne Cook, who'd been released from prison the day before. He's already been found not guilty on the ground of insanity. In a week-long coronial inquest starting today, counsel assisting the coroner Jane Ansell said Mr Cook was released despite violent behaviour by him during his period of imprisonment. And Mr Cook made threats that he would stab a probation officer before his release. The inquiry in front of Hobart coroner Simon Cooper will focus on Mr Cook's time in prison, the management of his serious mental health issues and his release. A Supreme Court trial has already heard he suffered severe delusions in the months leading up to the incident. Tomorrow the inquest is expected to hear from Director of Prisons Ian Thomas. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
Redeveloping underutilised land could squeeze in an extra 30,000 residents in Hobart's CBD. The idea is being put forward as an alternative to higher buildings, but it could see some businesses shift from the city.
This retail haven is one of 424 sites within Hobart, identified as suitable spots for residential development. A vision between Council and UTAS to examine unutilised land.
It allows us to look at some of the underutilised areas in the city, of which there are many, particularly some of our old car yards and empty car parks. These are really ripe for residential development.
It's an interesting one because on one hand it's about bringing people to the city for access to services, and on the other hand is pushing those services back out of the city.
The state's automotive industry body says businesses needing large footprints could shift to areas like Cambridge and Brighton.
They'll make their own commercial decisions. They may even see it as a positive, that their properties are more valuable to be converted to residential.
If the plan is followed, it's estimated an extra 30,000 people could be housed within a 10-minute walk of the CBD.
We want sustainable population growth, so it needs to be done in a way that's supportive of our policies, and we'll be working with the Commonwealth and local government on the best mix of policies and the best use of land parcels going forward.
This new report on land use has been tied with the contentious issue on height limits for new developments in Hobart and the pressure in the housing market.
This study shows us that even with our current height limits, there is plenty of room for development in the city.
The full report is set to be published on the Council's website tomorrow. Ruby Kamain, 7 Tasmania News.
Small and medium businesses in Tasmania remain the most confident in the nation, according to a new report. The Census Small Business Survey shows 63% of companies in the state are optimistic about their future. Among them is Rochelee's Progress Switchboards, which has recently purchased new equipment to keep up with growing local demand.
When we initially started up, we probably went from 50-50 from Victoria to Tasmania, and I can say over the last 12 months every job that we've done on this floor has been in Tasmania.
However, the survey also revealed more than a third of Tasmanian businesses believe insurance is putting the brakes on growth. Tasmanian firefighters were put to the test this morning during what appeared to be a hotel fire, but the dramatic scenes were all part of a training exercise to ensure crews are capable of responding to large blazes.
We upgrade this call to a structure fire, requesting Launceston 11.
3 stories above the ground, what looks like an emergency is unfolding. Smoke fills the corridors as crews frantically search for anyone trapped inside. Thankfully, this fire is a training exercise, but it gives Launceston firefighters an opportunity to test their skills in responding to a real-life situation. The Grand Chancellor Hotel turned classroom for the day as crews simulated a large fire.
It is not very often we get to do this realistic type of training where it tests all their skill levels.
Roger, should have a second BA crew behind you shortly, over.
Firefighters are hopeful today's exercise will better prepare them for real-life scenarios, in particular large-scale structure fires. It's not the first time Tas Fire has responded to a blaze of this size, but it provides peace of mind that crews will be able to respond quickly and effectively.
One of the most important things when we're talking about this exercise is we're actually putting our officers under some sort of pressure and testing their command and control strategies.
While firefighters hope scenes like today's are avoided, with more high-rise hotels under construction in Launceston, it's better to be safe than sorry. Elizabeth O'Neill, 7 Tasmania News.
Experts in Tasmania's booming tourism and hospitality sectors are preparing to pass along their skills under a scholarship aimed at boosting the state's training capacity. The government today announcing the 9 winners of the Drysdale Industry Trainer Scholarships, the recipients coming from a range of different backgrounds, including kayaking guides, event management and accommodation providers.
I've been in the tourism and hospitality industry for over 20 years, and I think this opportunity provides me with a solid foundation to actually impart that knowledge onto the next generation.
It's part of a $3 million 3-year plan to overhaul the state's TAFE sector. Workers are tearing up the turf in a multi-million-dollar revamp of Elwick racecourse. The project is hoped to fix the quality of the track that's been affected by problems with drainage and an uneven surface.
Covered in mounds of dirt and piles of turf, Hobart's Elwick racecourse is a far sight from its usual manicured lawns. The track undergoing a $12.5 million redevelopment, aiming to revamp Tasmania's thoroughbred racing.
We'll have a 28 metre wide track, level, the right gradient, good drainage. We'll be able to race all year round. It'll bring much better quality of racing.
With the previous track old and in need of maintenance, this much needed facelift is being undertaken by local instant turf company Strathair.
It's wonderful to be able to utilise local businesses in what is a very significant investment for racing within Tasmania.
It's great to be involved in a job so close to home. You know, we do tracks like this around the world and around the rest of the country, but to have one just in our back door is very exciting, and really pleased to be part of it.
The work has forced the winter meets to be moved to Longford, Mowbray and Sprayton, but it's due to be completed for the start of the summer racing season.
We're on time and on budget to deliver this. It'll be open for some trials in January. The first race meeting will be the 31st of January, which is the Derby.
Meanwhile, another major turf reconstruction is continuing at UTAS Stadium, work beginning on its new clay dome base. Launceston says it remains on track to be completed by November. Ebony Ablett, 7 Tasmania News.
A special group helping women who recently moved to Tasmania is celebrating its 4th birthday. Launceston Women's Group is currently helping 40 new arrivals to the city, many from overseas. Members are encouraged to practice their English, make friends and learn new skills.
The friendship group is good for women people because my country people know and understand English and reading English, speaking English.
The group relies on the help of volunteers, with meetings held at the Launceston General Hospital.
There's relief for Glenorchy fans, with goal sneak Aidan Grace brushing aside an injury scare. The TSL's leading goal kicker spent the rest of the weekend on crutches after a rough landing from a marking contest. Things were going great for Aidan Grace, booting 4 goals in Glenorchy's head-turning performance against Lauderdale at KG5. But his day took a turn for the worse when a painful landing had the key forward in trouble.
Truppy came down on me quite hard on my Achilles, and yeah, big scare after the game.
He doesn't have the all clear from medics just yet, but Grace says he'll be right to play this weekend. And they'll need him with the Pies clash against North Launceston, a potential dress rehearsal for the grand final.
If you go in trying and play them one-on-one, that's probably a hard game to play against Glenorchy. They've got some quality players, so we'll be looking more on us and what we can do.
The Northern Bombers were relegated to Invermay Park, while UTAS Stadium goes through a major makeover next door. With the minor premiership locked away, Taylor Whitford doesn't want to take the foot off the pedal.
We've got something to gain out of this weekend. We want to play well and go into the bye in good form.
The Bombers are at full strength, so are the Pies.
We get a few boys back this week. I think Sammy Rundle, Matty Dilger will probably come back in maybe. So, yeah, the boys are coming right at the pointy end of the season.
They'll clash under lights on Saturday night at KG5. The votes are in for the RACT Insurance Player of the Year in the TSL after round 20. Glenorchy's Zach Webster claimed 3 votes in the Pies' impressive win over Lauderdale. Ryan Bailey's efforts for Clarence have been recognised after his side's upset win over the Tigers. And Alex Lee was best on ground for North Launceston in the win over the Demons. On the leaderboard, Launceston's Fletcher Seymour is hanging on to the lead by a single vote over Northern bomber Brad Cox-Goodger with just 1 round to go. King Island's Stuart McSwain has finished second in the 1500 metres at last night's Diamond League event in Birmingham. The Tasmanian was right in the mix at the final turn before Uganda's Ronald Musagala bolted to first place on the inside. McSwain's next Diamond League meet is in Paris this weekend. Tasmanian Scott Bowden and Nathan Earl have wrapped up their Tour of Utah campaigns. Bowden finished 12th overall, while Earl finished in the mid-30s. This year's MPL title might be out of reach, but the Kingborough Lions are doing everything right going into 2020. Kean Dowell scored a thrilling winner in Friday night's game at Lightwood Park. The long-range strike lifted the Lions to a 3-2 victory over Hobart Zebras, and the man of the moment says his side can carry its good form into next year.
The second half of the season for us has been unbelievable, really. From where we've come at the start of the season to now, it's been just an unbelievable shift. And we've started to compete. And so it is going to be crucial for us moving forward for next year, just to obviously see how close we can get to the top 4.
Kingborough has another big task ahead when it takes on Olympia this weekend.
Good evening. Showers fell statewide today, except for the east, a high of 11 across Hobart, Burnie and Devonport, 12 at Launceston. Other centres today, 11 across Flinders Island, Smithton and Lowhead, a high of 8 at both Grove and Ouse, and King Island, St Helens and Friendly Beaches, all 12. On the close-up low to mid-level cloud covering the west and far south, cold air is also indicated around the state. Further out, low level cloud over the south-east of Australia behind a cold front in the Tasman Sea. A low to mid level cloud band is also sitting over Tasmania. Tomorrow shows a strong high over Western South Australia while a cold front approaches the southwest of Tasmania. Westerly winds 25 to 35 knots tomorrow, reaching 40 knots in the south early, then north in the afternoon. Swells up to 5 metres in the west and south and up to 3 metres in the north. A severe weather warning is current for western, southern, central and far north-east of Tasmania for damaging winds. A gale warning for all coastal waters, including the southwest lakes for westerly winds. A strong wind warning for all southeast inshore waters and the central plateau lakes. A minor flood warning is also current for the Huon River and a flood watch for the northwest Derwent and Huon catchments. Tomorrow's forecast now very windy with showers for Hobart and Adventure Bay, Tarraleah 9. In the north, a high of 16 at Launceston with showers and wind. Showers increasing at Devonport and Bridport 13. Expecting rain and wind across Burnie, Strawn and Marrawar tomorrow, reaching high of 13, 16 at St Helens, Swansea, a high of 17 and white mark showers with wind and a top of 13. Looking ahead to the 3-day forecast, Wednesday showers more frequent about the west and south. Thursday showers not as much through the northeast and snow falling to 400 metres in the south. And Friday showers developing about the north and west, fine elsewhere. Capital cities looking sunny in Perth and Brisbane, Melbourne 15 and Adelaide expecting a shower or two. And looking at the current temperatures, Hobart 7, mostly cloudy, Launceston top of 9 and Devonport 9, partly cloudy. That's all in weather tonight. Back to you, Jo.
Lovely. Thank you very much for that, Jackie. And that's all from the team for now. Have a lovely evening. See you a bit later. Bye-bye.